Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
Right now at 8 o'clock, breaking news, a crash causes major backups on I-85 in Granville County. We are live on that scene. The impact we're seeing to your morning commute.
And this morning on the patio, we're seeing some cloud cover. It does look like our chances for rain over the weekend are starting to drop. I'll show you where it stands.
And burial arrangements. The final preparations underway before Pope Francis will be laid to rest. His final wishes for tomorrow's burial at the Vatican. A lot happening right now here on WRAL News and Fox 50. Thank you so much for joining us here. I'm Chris Lovingood.
And I'm Michelle McConaughey. Yeah, we made it to Friday. But as Chris said, a lot to talk about. First, we're going to talk about the weather, your weekend forecast. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner out on the weather patio. It's a warm start out there.
It is, and you know, it's muggier than it was this time yesterday. So in about 15 minutes or so, my hair is not going to look exactly like this. I just stepped out here. But Fayetteville, we're looking at mostly cloudy skies, and we're seeing that across the bulk of the viewing area. Our temperatures right now, 67 in Durham and Fayetteville, 65 in Cary, and 64 degrees in Garner. So it's a nice, comfortable start out there right now. Heading out the door, like I said, the first thing you'll notice is it just feels a little more muggy than it did yesterday. There's more moisture in the atmosphere, and temperatures are starting off pretty pleasant in the mid-60s. Walking the dog this morning, again, pretty comfortable. We're going to climb into the mid-70s by lunchtime, and we'll top out at around 80 this afternoon. Temperatures by 7 or 8, if you're walking the dog later, will be in the mid-70s. Now, we do have a chance of some showers and thunderstorms, especially late afternoon, and then overnight. I'll walk you through Futurecast coming up.
All right, Elizabeth, happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center. We're staying on top of that breaking news in Granville County. We're talking about this crash on I-85 that's causing quite a bit of delays in that area, right there at US 158 there in Oxford. And that's where we find WRAL's Kelsey Coffin. She's been on the scene for the last couple of hours. So, Kelsey, set the scene for us and walk us through what happened.
Ken, crews are still working to clean up this mess hours after the crash happened. I'll step out the way now so you can see them working this morning. But you can see here that one lane is still closed here on I-85, and drivers are still needing to take a detour onto Highway 158. But we'll break down what happened during that crash. I was able to speak with the state trooper on scene, and he says a car hit a guardrail and spun out. An 18-wheeler hit that car, flipped over, and caught fire. A viewer sent this video to our newsroom. You can see that 18-wheeler engulfed in flames. SHP says the 18-wheeler was carrying groceries, so crews had to clean up food that was scattered all over the highway. New video from Drone 5 captures the aftermath of this crash. That truck driver has minor injuries this morning, and the other driver has serious injuries. SHP believes the person who was driving the car had been drinking, and alcohol was a factor in this crash. We'll be sure to keep you updated on when crews are able to clean this up, but for right now, they're estimating that may not happen until 9 o'clock. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Granville County.
Yeah, it's going to be a situation where they're going to be out there for quite some time. And of course, Highway 158 is definitely your alternate route if you want to avoid what's happening there in Granville County. Back here at home, we're seeing the usual congestion building on the southern loop of the northern loop of the Beltline as well, but nothing that's going to make you late at this hour. You're getting ready to head into the car. Tune us in on the radio, 101.5 HD3.
Thank you, Ken. Happening today, state leaders are expecting to share an update on efforts to continue recovery after Hurricane Helene. WRAL's Eric Miller joins us this morning from Raleigh. Eric, nearly 7 months after the storm, people out west are still in desperate need of assistance.
Well, there's plenty to do, Michelle. We're going to be hearing from top state leaders during this morning's State Emergency Response Committee meeting. That committee meets a couple of times per year. It's met once since the storm happened, but this is the first meeting they're going to be having since things really moved into that recovery and rebuilding phase. We're going to be looking for updates on a lot of those major top-line projects the state is dealing with, things like road construction and debris removal, and also looking for progress since that latest bipartisan Helene relief package was signed into law by Governor Josh Stein last month. That package provided hundreds of millions of dollars for things like private road and bridge reconstruction, as well as helping farmers deal with lost crops and lost topsoil out in the mountains. That meeting gets started in just under an hour. We'll let you know what we hear inside. In Raleigh, Eric Miller, WRAL News.
In a unanimous vote, the Durham Public Schools Board approved the superintendent's $700 million budget proposal, and many people came to voice their concerns about teacher pay and resources for students. The approved budget will give $18 million to hire more teachers and staff, $9 million will go to charter schools, and $3 million toward child nutrition. One student told us that students being left hungry, that's an issue for them.
There is a lack of funding at the state level, and this reality is having a direct, tangible impact on our local school district.
A month ago, my school also ran out of food. Keep in mind, this is during lunch hours. Fortunately, there was some leftover yogurt from breakfast.
The budget will now be presented to the Board of County Commissioners.
Today is the final day for mourners to pay their respects to Pope Francis as he lies in state. You were taking a live look at St. Peter's Basilica in Rome this morning. The Vatican reports at least 90,000 people have visited the Pope's coffin since Wednesday. The Pope's coffin will be closed this evening before it's transferred to the Santa Maria Maggiore Basilica for tomorrow's burial. Pope Francis said in his final testament that he wished to be buried in a, quote, simple tomb. And we invite you to watch the Pope's funeral live on WRAL tomorrow morning starting at 4. WRAL News will air at its regular time on Fox 50 at 6. When NBC's funeral coverage ends, our news will be joined in progress on WRAL.
A dump truck driver is facing charges because of a crash that killed 4 people. And these were all people who are members of a Duke Energy contracted power team in Rockingham County. Authorities in the city of Eden say the driver of a city-owned dump truck caused this. 66-year-old Michael Vernon is accused of running a stop sign and hitting 6 men working on power lines. 4 of them died right there, and 2 others were flown to the hospital. 1 of them is in critical condition. Vernon is facing charges including misdemeanor death by motor vehicle.
This morning, all lanes of Fort Bragg's All-American Gate are back open. The main entrance to Fort Bragg was closed for hours last night. Military investigators say that's where they found a suspicious device. An all clear was issued around 11:30 p.m. We are working to learn what this suspicious device was. And 4 people have been arrested after an investigation into illegal activities at vape stores in Moore County. Officials say they executed search warrants on 7 stores since January. This comes after numerous public complaints, reports of overdoses involving minors, and the sale of items containing illegal levels of THC. All 4 men are facing numerous charges related to possessing and selling controlled substances.
Fluoride will stay in Harnett County's water supply, at least for now. The Board of Health voted to keep it in interest of protecting oral health, and the vote also affects tens of thousands of customers in Wake County who rely on Harnett Regional Water. Well, now it's up to county commissioners to take the health board's guidance into consideration for this.
We hope that they appreciate the expertise that went into this decision and take it and use it to make their decision.
Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been outspoken about fluoride in drinking water, suggesting it be removed. Commissioners meet Tuesday to continue their discussion on this.
Durham will celebrate the completion of a $10 million renovation to affordable housing this morning. The project at the Maple Creek Apartments delivers 42 affordable homes in East Durham. The renovation includes 20 garden-style and 22 townhome-style apartments. The city contributed more than $6 million to this project. A celebration will take place this morning at 10 o'clock on site on Ross Road.
Tonight, the Carolina Hurricanes look to move 1 win closer to advancing in the Stanley Cup playoffs. They are taking on the New Jersey Devils in Game 3 of their opening round series. The Canes are ahead 2-0 after winning both games at Lenovo Center earlier this week. But tonight, they are in Jersey territory. Puck drop for tonight's game is at 8 p.m.
Coming up, protected by the First Amendment, a judge rules against the Trump administration's push to end DEI in schools. The path now available to institutions wishing to maintain existing policies.
And fresh from the tap, Broogaloo brings the best of craft beer in Raleigh. The big events that you won't want to miss around the Triangle this weekend.
And taking a look at satellite and radar, there's rain to our west, and we will see some over the weekend, but it looks like a little less than earlier this week. I'll show you how to plan your weekend coming up. All right, we're taking a look at satellite and radar here, and we're looking at some rain in western North Carolina. We saw that there yesterday, but today is the day that it begins to move a little farther east. A few sprinkles there, say, along the I-77 corridor and then up around Danville. We had a couple of sprinkles near the Virginia line earlier this morning. Our chance of rain today, though, is pretty minimal. We're going to keep it at 20% up until around 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and then the chances may increase, but just slightly, especially from the Triangle area northward. We could end up with a few isolated showers, and then overnight we may see a better chance for rain. We'll talk more about that in just a little bit. The gardens are looking gorgeous right now. We still have some azaleas that are blooming. 67 is our temperature. It's a bit on the muggy side, a little bit more than yesterday. Our temperatures are in the mid to upper 60s right now. We'll see a high this afternoon, around 80 degrees.
Now in the WRAL Traffic Center, we're trying to get some more information about this crash on Tryon and Mid Pines Road. It's also near Thistledown and Trailwood there in West Raleigh. We're told that there's an overturned vehicle. We have a crew on the way to the scene. We'll get you more information, but this is a real troubled spot this morning. I-85 northbound in Granville County. It's near Oxford, Highway 158. This crash also is on I-85 northbound, not causing too much of an issue. I'll have an update on both situations coming up in less than 5 minutes.
A federal judge partially blocked the Trump administration's effort to end DEI policies in schools. The judge ruled the government's order likely violates the First Amendment. This year, the Education Department warned schools could lose federal funding if they continue their DEI programs. The judge did not issue a nationwide order to block the guidance. However, they did stop the administration from enforcing it against the 3 groups that filed the lawsuit.
Newly revealed documents show the limited amount of time people are given to contest removal from the country by immigration enforcement agents. The Supreme Court gave the Trump administration authority to use the Alien Enemies Act, but required people to be given reasonable time to contest it. A Texas court filing shows immigrants must notify ICE of their intention to fight removal within 12 hours. They then must file a petition within 24 hours. ICE also has authority to remove people anyway if a petition is filed.
A 19-year-old was arrested in connection with the wildfire that's burning in New Jersey. Authorities say he's charged with arson. The fire has burned more than 15,000 acres, and thousands of people were forced to evacuate their homes this week, but they've since been able to return. Authorities say the fire is only about 50% contained.
Researchers warn there may be tens of millions of measles cases in the U.S. in the future if vaccination rates continue to drop. A new study looked at the potential spread of the disease over the coming decades, and researchers found at current vaccination rates, the disease could become an endemic in the U.S. within 25 years. That could include more than 50 million new cases. Measles was considered eliminated in the U.S. 25 years ago because of the highly effective vaccine. An Arizona man will spend the next 9 years in prison for bringing fentanyl to the Triangle area. Dakota Henderson pled guilty to 4 counts of selling fentanyl. The 26-year-old was part of a group that brought over 60 grams of drugs with a street value between $1,200 and $4,500. Back in March, he also faced gun charges and was found with over $1,000 in cash.
Federal prosecutors filed a letter of intent to seek the death penalty of Luigi Mangione. He's accused of killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson back in December, you may recall. Attorney General Pam Bondi directed the interim U.S. attorney in New York to seek the death penalty. The filing claims the crime was premeditated. Mangione was indicted last week in federal court, but has not yet entered a plea. He pleaded not guilty to state charges in New York.
The death penalty remains possible for Brian Kohberger if he is convicted, despite an argument by his attorneys that his autism spectrum diagnosis should make him exempt. A judge ruled to keep the death penalty as an option if Kohberger is found guilty of killing 4 University of Idaho students. Defense attorneys argued his diagnosis puts him at a higher risk of being wrongfully convicted. The judge sided with prosecutors who countered Kohberger's diagnosis did not come with intellectual impairment. Jury selection is set to start in July.
A federal judge is blocking the Trump administration from pulling federal funds from so-called sanctuary cities. The judge in California said President Trump's executive order is unconstitutional. The ruling says only Congress can appropriate money. It also says attempts by the president to change that violates the Constitution's separation of powers. A White House spokesperson says Trump will continue his push to prioritize Americans and put their well-being above all else.
A beloved Raleigh business will close its doors in the coming months. The Teach Me store has been open for 34 years, offering a large selection of school supplies, books, and toys for students and teachers. Owners say business has taken a turn in the last 5 years. They say they've noticed the trend of customers shopping online rather than supporting local, and it shows up in the numbers.
Customers aren't coming to us like they used to, and in the end, not able to pay the bills because I just don't see as many customers coming through the doors.
The Teach Me store will have closing sales starting on May 1st. The store's closing day will depend on how quickly its products sell.
Chapel Hill is celebrating new affordable housing coming to town. A ribbon cutting ceremony will be at the Pine Knoll Affordable Housing Community Site, and that is set for this morning at 11. The development will offer 10 units designed for essential workers, earning 30% of the area's median income. Developers say this project is a community-driven solution toward addressing the housing crisis.
Well, this weekend is filled with opportunities to get out and about, including a lot of festivals, Chris.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, Michelle. So let's start with a beer-centric event taking over downtown Raleigh. Brewgaloo kicks off tonight at 6. The Craft Beer Festival will hold a sampling event in City Plaza, and things continue tomorrow with a street festival from noon until 8 p.m. Admission to both events is free, but just so you know, you will need tickets to sample beer.
That's a really fun event. I love that one. And in Fayetteville, the Dogwood Festival starts today. The annual event includes live music, carnival rides, and food trucks. It's all happening through Sunday. Admission is free. The festival runs 5 to 11 p.m. today, and then gates open at noon tomorrow and Sunday.
And in Cary, the annual Spring Days Arts and Crafts Festival is being held at Bond Park tomorrow. This event will feature 3 stages of performances, more than 20 food vendors, and a giant art market. We're talking about more than 170 vendors being available selling their artwork. The festival is from 9 to 5 tomorrow, and just so you know, admission is free.
A different kind of baseball experience is coming to the DBAP tonight and tomorrow night. The Cosmic Chili Peppers are bringing their glowing spectacle to the park. Their games are played under a black light with glowing uniforms and baseballs. Look at this. There's also a live DJ and a mid-game laser light show. Limited tickets are still available. That is so cool. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. I like it.
I love it.
All
yeah,
right,
it's really fun.
Let's go ahead and take a step outside to meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner. She's playing out on the WRAL weather patio. You're not playing. You're giving the forecast for the weekend.
Oh, I missed. Boom. Yeah, nobody wants to play baseball with me, but that's for sure. Larry is standing out here with me. He's laughing. All right, I could take a walk in the garden with you. It's absolutely beautiful. Some of the azaleas are definitely past peak, but we have things blooming in the gardens all the time. They're beautiful. It's going to be a nice day to get out. It's a little muggier than it was yesterday. We keep talking about our next weather maker. It's the front that comes through tomorrow. We still have sort of a stalled front across our area, and along that today, we may see just a few isolated showers. Overnight storms, though. I say overnight, but I guess it's late evening. Say 9 to 10 o'clock till around midnight or 1. We may have a band of rain that comes through, and then just some isolated storms with the front as it comes through on Saturday. So here's a look at what's happening right now. Some rain in the mountains, more cloud cover, and a few light showers with that in the Piedmont as it moves eastward. Here's a look at Futurecast as we kick that off this morning. It's pretty dry between now and lunchtime. And then after lunchtime, we begin to see a few cells pop up. They'll be fairly isolated in nature. We may see a few waves. This is a brand new version of this Futurecast, and you can see, again, that line that kind of comes through around midnight. So it really looks like late evening and overnight is when we'll see the bulk of the rain. This is lunchtime on Saturday. We likely see a little bit of sunshine developing. That front moves really into eastern North Carolina pretty quickly tomorrow. So it looks wetter overnight than it does for tomorrow, and that's great news for everybody who has outdoor plans. You know, if you've got tennis matches planned or if you're headed out to a festival, it looks better for Saturday. It's not going to be completely dry, but it's just not looking too bad. Still a flooding risk in the mountains for this afternoon. For us, our chance of rain, again, is pretty minimal, probably looking at 1/4 to 1/2 inch. 40% chance for Saturday. It's probably a 50 to 60% chance overnight tonight, though. If you're headed to Spring Days in Cary tomorrow, again, just kind of keep your eye out for an isolated shower or thunderstorm. But I tell you what, Sunday looks phenomenal. If you can get out and about on Sunday, it's just going to look great. We'll see a high of 75, and then it turns hot for Wednesday and Thursday, Ken.
Hey, Elizabeth, happening now. Let's start right off and update our viewers in this crash on I-85 in Granville County. It's been happening now for the last 2.5 hours. This is a situation that's allowing traffic to be detoured onto Highway 158 there in Oxford. Take a look at some drone video, courtesy of photographer Mark Alexic. You can see the situation right there. It involved this tractor trailer that flipped over into the median, and at one point, both lanes, both directions of I-85 were closed. And it involved a tractor trailer that was carrying groceries and another vehicle. The driver of the vehicle suffered some serious injuries. The driver of the tractor trailer suffered minor injuries. You can see crews have been doing all morning long just trying to figure out exactly what's going on and clean up that particular area. But you can see right now they're making progress. One lane of I-85 North is open. Back here closer to Wake County, this crash on Tryon Road in the eastbound lane, the Mid Pines Road, we're told it's a serious crash involving some type of overturned vehicle. We have a crew on the way to the scene just to check it out and just to let us know exactly what's going on and to put some eyes on it. Elsewhere, though, all the other major routes are relatively delay-free from Windell to Raleigh-Durham and Chapel Hill. You're getting ready to head into the car. Tune us in on the radio because, you know, traffic is constantly changing in the morning, right? 101.5 HD3, take us with you.
Caught a bargain boom. Tariff talks have many people watching their spending habits. The local consignment event that could provide some relief.
And future first responders, from the classroom to the front lines, how Wake County students are getting a head start on saving lives.
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM. In Durham, 96.5 FM. And everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
Morning. Happy Friday. Time now is 8:26. I'm Michelle McConaughey. We are in for a pretty nice day. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner out on the WRAL weather patio. You can definitely feel the humidity this morning.
You can. You know, we had such a treat yesterday. We had low humidity. It was crisp. It was clear. It was beautiful. Today's going to feel just a bit more like summer. It's 64 in Wilson, 67 in Durham, and 67 in Fayetteville. We're seeing a mix of sun and clouds right now. A 20% chance of rain until we get into the evening and overnight, and then that chance goes up. Coming up on Fox 50, we'll go over that on Futurecast. About a 40% chance on Saturday. If you're going to be playing pickleball today, temperatures close to 70 at 10 a.m. And we'll see a high this afternoon in the low 80s. Ken?
All right, Elizabeth, happening now. We just want to keep updating our viewers on the situation that's happening in Granville County this morning. A crash on I-85 in the northbound lanes causing quite a bit of a slowdown. We do know at least one lane is closed, and they're still on the scene right now, just trying to get a hold of what's going on and cleaning up that area. We know that the drivers of the tractor trailer and the vehicles that were involved, they both survived. I have an update coming up, but Highway 158 is definitely your alternate route. Coming up, I'll have an update and a live report from that scene.
Thanks, Ken. Durham Public Schools have approved a $700 million budget proposal. The budget will give $18 million to hire more teachers and staff. $9 million will go to charter schools and $3 million toward child nutrition. It'll now be presented to the Board of County Commissioners. Coming up next on Fox 50, when we expect to learn more about the state's Hurricane Helene recovery efforts. And coming up next on Today, Coco Jones joins live in Studio 1A.
Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
Happening right now at 8:30, breaking news, a tractor trailer crash is creating a headache for drivers on I-85. We have a live look at the scene here. How long the highway is expected to have these delays and what you need to know to get around this.
And it's a nice start this morning, but today is the day that we see an increased chance for rain. That continues into tomorrow. Our chances are starting to drop a little bit. I'll show you what it looks like.
Final preparations. Pope Francis is lying in state before his funeral tomorrow. What to expect from that event that will bring tens of thousands of people from across the globe. A lot of people filing in there to see that moment before he's put into the grave not too long from now. Thanks so much for waking up with us here on WRAL News on Fox 50. I'm Chris Lovingood.
And I'm Michelle McConaughey. Yeah, starting off a little cloudy. Look behind us in Durham this morning. You see the sun trying to peek out. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner is on the weather patio right now, showing us the big picture, Elizabeth.
Big picture is we definitely have rain to our west. You can see that from the middle of Tennessee all the way into the mountains of North Carolina. So all this is pushing our way, but it looks like it's going to be fairly limited, especially tomorrow. So right now you can see dual Doppler 5000 radar from Statesville to Kannapolis to west of Greensboro, Winston-Salem. There's a little bit of light patchy rain. Now that may arrive here by lunchtime. We're going to keep it at a 20% chance. We're going to bump it up some during the evening commute, and then it really bounces up, say 9 or 10 o'clock. It looks like we're going to have a pretty good chance of rain late evening up until around midnight, early next week, or early in the morning tomorrow. But I'll walk you through that with Futurecast coming up. It's beautiful in the gardens right now. We're seeing a mix of sun and clouds. The sun's really starting to break out pretty nicely across our area. 67 is our current temperature, and we're looking at mainly low to mid 60s right now. Our high temperature this afternoon will be in the low 80s. We'll walk through your chance for rain Saturday coming up.
Well, that's what's happening now. Let's get right to that breaking news we've been following all morning long out of Granville County. We're talking about a crash on I-85 that earlier shut down lanes in both directions. That has changed for right now. Let's get an update from WRAL's Kelsey Coffey live on that scene to set the scene for us and walk us through what happened.
Ken, crews are still working to clean up the aftermath of this crash here. So I'll step out of the way so you can take a look now here. We know that this one lane that you mentioned before is still closed here on I-85. We can see that there's a little bit more of a backup now as we're starting to reach more of the height of the morning commute. One lane is closed, as I mentioned before, but drivers are still being detoured onto Highway 158. We'll give you a breakdown of what happened after I spoke with the state trooper on scene. He says a car hit a guardrail and spun out. An 18-wheeler hit the car, flipped over, and caught fire. A viewer sent this video to our newsroom. You can see that 18-wheeler there engulfed in flames. SHP says the 18-wheeler was carrying groceries, so crews had to clean up food that was scattered all over the highway. Video from Drone 5 captures the aftermath of the crash. The truck driver has minor injuries this morning, and the other driver has serious injuries. We're working to get an update on both of their conditions, but SHP believes the person who was driving the car had been drinking and alcohol was a factor in this crash. SHP says that they're expecting to clean this up within the next 30 minutes. But Ken, what else can you tell folks as they head out on their morning drive?
Well, I can tell everybody that, if you're heading north on I-85, then Highway 158 is the best alternate route to get around the slowdown that you're seeing there on I-85. Back here in Wake County, there's a crash on Tryon Road in the eastbound lane near Mid-Pines Road. We're told that it involves an overturned vehicle. We're working to get a little bit more information about that. But right now, we're not seeing any delays in that immediate area. Elsewhere, all the major routes this time of the morning, relatively delay-free, which is really good news. And speaking of one of those major routes, here's a live look at I-40 and Lake Wheeler Road. Traffic flowing nicely in both directions. You get ready to head into the car. Tune us in on the radio, 101.5 HD3.
Thanks, Ken. Today we'll get an update on the state's effort to help people recover from the devastation caused by Hurricane Helene. WRAL's Eric Miller joins us live in Raleigh. Eric, it's been 7 months since Helene, and many homes are yet to be rebuilt.
And Michelle, hard to believe how long it's been and how much is left to do here. We're going to be hearing from the State Emergency Response Commission here in just the next 30 minutes. That commission is made up of top public safety officials from across state government. They only meet a handful of times a year, and they have met since the storm happened, but not really since things moved into the full recovery and rebuilding phase from that rescue phase that we saw so early on. Now, today at this meeting, we are expecting an update on a lot of those top-line recovery numbers. Think things like road rebuilding and debris removal in the western part of the state. We'll also be looking closely for any updates on how that latest bipartisan Helene relief package is impacting relief efforts out west. Governor Josh Stein signed that bill into law a little over a month ago. It provides hundreds of millions of dollars for things like private road and bridge repair, as well as aid to farmers in western North Carolina dealing with lost crops and lost topsoil in the wake of this storm. This meeting gets started at 9 9 this morning. We'll be watching very closely to see what happens there. In Raleigh, Eric Miller, WRAL News.
In a unanimous vote, the Durham Public Schools Board approved the superintendent's $700 million budget proposal, and many people came to voice their concerns about teacher pay and resources for students. The approved budget will give $18 million to hire more teachers and staff, $9 million will go to charter schools, and $3 million will go towards child nutrition.
This morning, all lanes of Fort Bragg's All-American Gate are back open. The main entrance to Fort Bragg was closed for hours last night. Military investigators say that's where they found a suspicious device. An all clear was issued around 11:30 p.m. We are working to learn what this suspicious device was.
Closing arguments in a custody battle murder trial will happen today in Johnston County. Dorian Thomas is accused of shooting and killing his daughter's aunt, Emily Steinhoff. Steinhoff was an actress in the Raleigh Little Theater, and the jury could ultimately be tasked with deciding whether that shooting was premeditated.
A dump truck driver is facing charges after a crash killed 4 members of a Duke Energy contracted power crew in Rockingham County. Authorities in the city of Eden say the driver of a city-owned dump truck ran a stop sign and hit 6 men who were conducting power line work. 4 died at the scene. 2 others were airlifted to the hospital. 1 remains in critical condition this morning. The dump truck driver, 66-year-old Michael Vernon, faces charges including misdemeanor death by motor vehicle. Investigators do not believe he was impaired.
The Wake County school system is partnering with Wake EMS to train high school students to be future EMTs. This training program will provide students with skills needed to earn their credentials, and the program takes about 2 semesters to complete. But when they're done, students will have learned basic life support, trauma care, and emergency vehicle management skills. The deadline to apply to this program is next Wednesday.
The Vatican says nearly 100,000 people have filled into St. Peter's Basilica to pay their respects to Pope Francis. And today is the final day he will lie in state there before his funeral tomorrow. Many world leaders are expected to attend the funeral in St. Peter's Square, including President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, French President Emmanuel Macron, and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. After the funeral, the Pope will be buried at the Papal Basilica of St. Mary Major in Rome. And we invite you to watch the Pope's funeral live on WRAL tomorrow morning starting at 4 a.m. WRAL News will air at its regular time on Fox 50 at 6. And when NBC's funeral coverage ends, our news will be joined in progress on WRAL.
People are looking for bargains as tariffs are increasing the prices of items, including clothing. And a sale starting today in Cary hopes to help people find those deals. According to American Apparel Footwear Association data, the U.S. gets 97% of its clothing and shoes from other countries, mostly from China and Vietnam. Half of shoppers say they are more likely to consider buying secondhand goods or local alternatives. The Kids Eyewear Everything Else sale starts today at South Hills Mall.
People are a little bit worried about the economy, and this is a way to really make a difference in your budget.
The sale will continue through May 4th, but you need a ticket online to go.
A federal investigation of the contaminated building on NC State's campus has been shut down. An update from Chancellor Randy Woodson says the Health Hazard Evaluation, or HHE, of Poe Hall has been closed due to federal cuts. The update says all HHEs across the state have been halted for this reason. Poe Hall was home to the College of Education and the Psychology Department. The building was closed when toxic chemicals called PCBs were discovered in the fall of 2023. A health hazard evaluation could have determined the potential effects of PCBs found in Poe Hall, but would not have required NC State to take any action. Results of the HHE have not been released yet. And this is a story that WRAL Investigates has been working on for months now. Hear from people who worked or studied in Poe Hall before being diagnosed with cancer, and find more of our previous reporting on WRAL.com. Time now is 8:39. Phones off. A private high school in Raleigh is putting a ban in place during school hours. How administrators plan to enforce the rule.
And Shannon Sharp is taking a break from ESPN as he faces a sexual assault lawsuit. His response to the accusations against him.
And it's a warm start this morning as you take a live look over Fenton and Cary. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner has a look at the chances for rain in the forecast and how it could affect your weekend plans.
All right, we're taking a look at Carolina Beach. It looks absolutely gorgeous there. Look at that. It's Friday, so, I feel like we have a license to take a look at the beach forecast, right? For tomorrow, we do have a chance for some scattered afternoon and evening thunderstorms, but it's not going to be a washout at the beach, especially if you're out there, if you're headed there this evening. You're out there in the morning up until around the middle of the afternoon. It should be really good. Temperatures, though, in the low to mid 70s for the most part. And then Sunday looks glorious, but it will be cooler, low 70s, looking at 71 Wrightsville, maybe 60s around Ocracoke and Nags Head. If you're in the mountains, they're going to see some showers and thunderstorms. It's been wet there the last couple of days, and we'll see that again for tomorrow. But same story, the mountains will clear out for Sunday. Also feeling great. Boone at 68, Asheville 75. For us, we'll also clear out on Sunday. It looks like a beautiful day, but I'll walk you through our rain chances for Saturday coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, happening now, the WRAL Traffic Center. We're seeing a little bit of a slowdown on Capitol Boulevard there, just north of I-540, but the real troubled spot is this I-85 crash in Granville County, right at US 158. It involved a tractor trailer and a vehicle earlier this morning. Here's some drone video courtesy of photographer Mark Alexic. You can see where this all happened right there in the median, which earlier it closed both lanes in all directions of I-85 as crews are working to contain the debris that spilled because that tractor trailer was apparently carrying some groceries. We'll have an update about this story in less than 5 minutes.
And Jeff Hogan in the WRAL Live Center, just following some headlines that are coming in right now. President Donald Trump had an interview, sat down in an interview with Time Magazine on Tuesday. It's just being published this morning. Some of the bits and pieces of it are coming out right now. This is a major headline that's happening here. He says that Crimea will stay with Russia, and he's making every attempt to try to end the war. And President Zelensky, he says, has been a major roadblock in that. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, he says, understands that this will be part of the peace proposal to end the Russia-Ukraine war. Now, Crimea is a strategic peninsula right along the Black Sea in southern Ukraine. It was taken by Russia back in 2014. While President Barack Obama was in office, and years before this full-scale invasion that began in 2022 that we're talking about, Zelensky said his nation will not legally recognize the occupation of Crimea. It is against their constitution to do so. Asked during that same interview if peace is possible with Zelensky as president, and Donald Trump said, "Yes, I do. I think we are going to make a deal."
Big update. Thanks, Jeff. A private school in Raleigh is the latest to ban phones for students starting next year. Ravenscroft will no longer allow students in 9th through 12th grade to use phones during school hours. It's a ban that's already in place at the middle and lower schools. And under the new rule, phones will be locked up in a pouch during school hours. One parent that we spoke with believes the change will have a positive effect on students.
Schools are for developing lifelong friendships, developing those interpersonal and social skills.
Wake County Schools is currently crafting a district-wide phone policy that would restrict phones during school hours, except for emergencies defined by staff.
New court documents reveal more details about the arrest of Columbia University student Mahmoud Khalil. Attorneys for the Justice Department say they did not have an arrest warrant when they took Khalil into custody. That happened last month. They say agents believe Khalil was a flight risk and also say that Khalil was not cooperating and that he was planning to leave the scene while his wife went into their apartment to get his green card. Khalil's attorneys say video of the arrest disproves that.
George Santos is expected to be sentenced today. Under a plea deal, he'll get at least 2 years in prison, but prosecutors want 87 months, and Santos says that he thinks he'll probably get that longer sentence. Santos became famous for lying about his work history, education, even religion when he ran for Congress in 2022. He later admitted to campaign finance fraud and lying to Congress. He was convicted last year for wire fraud and identity theft. Shannon Sharpe is temporarily stepping away from his role at ESPN. The former NFL star facing accusations of sexual assault and battery. An anonymous woman filed the lawsuit. Sharpe has denied these allegations. He says that he is stepping away to devote time to his family. He says he plans to return to ESPN at the start of the NFL preseason.
The Carolina Panthers have a new potential star on the offense. They chose wide receiver Ted McMillan with the 8th pick in the NFL draft. The 6'5" McMillan played at University of Arizona, and this is the second year in a row the Panthers have taken a wide receiver in the first round of the draft. The first pick of the draft was a quarterback. The Tennessee Titans took Cam Ward from the University of Miami, and it's the third year in a row a quarterback has gone #1, going back to the Panthers taking Bryce Young in 2023. And a local player was also taken in the first round, UNC running back Omarion Hampton. He was chosen by the LA Chargers with the 22nd pick. Hampton is from Clayton and went to Cleveland High School.
Pretty cool. Congratulations. Happening today, you can be a part of an event celebrating Earth Day and Arbor Day at Dix Park. The city of Raleigh will celebrate the environment with a festival at the park from 4 to 10 this evening. It'll include informational booths, activities, and live music. Food trucks will also be there and a movie in the park. You can learn more about how you can volunteer to help preserve and restore nature in Raleigh. Time for a look at what's trending.
Yeah, some big picks at last night's NFL draft, but this morning it's really the footwear, Michelle, that has people talking.
The fashion.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Ashton Gianti picked 6th last night by the LA Raiders there. I should say Las Vegas Raiders, showed up to the draft wearing Crocs covered in Swarovski crystals. See,
Gosh.
I've heard of fashion, but that's just wild.
What is happening?
When asked about the choice, he said he wanted to show you can be comfortable and still look fly. You can do that, but also for like a fraction of the cost. But hey, I mean, look.
But
it's your money. You do what you want to do.
Exactly. And he's spending his money on crystal-encrusted Crocs. Okay.
Oof.
Well, Saturday Night Live will close out its epic 50th season with Scarlett Johansson as host and Bad Bunny as musical guest. The pick is getting a lot of buzz with the spotlight on Weekend Update, where cast members Michael Shea and Colin Yost read jokes. The other wrote for them. Jost is married to Johansson, and the jokes have been known to cross the line a couple times.
But it's always funny whenever she rolls into SNL. It's like, oh, I get it. They're married.
Yeah.
Or they're together.
It's my husband just making fun of me. It's fine on national television. It's fine.
All right, so Netflix is rolling out a new way to watch its shows. The streaming platform is launching a new subtitle option for viewers who just want spoken dialogue captions. Now, previously, it only had subtitles for the deaf and hard of hearing, showing dialogue and the speaker names and description of sounds. Netflix says nearly half of all viewing hours in the U.S. take place with subtitles or captions. You cannot see it, but I am raising my hand. I am one of those people.
Me too. Yep.
All right, so check out this intense view of the sun. The Solar Orbiter spacecraft was able to capture this high-resolution image, and it shows how the sun's million-degree atmosphere, known as the corona, looks in ultraviolet light. This is the widest high-resolution view of the sun we have ever seen, and anytime I see something out of this world, I'm always down to just see more and more of these kind of images there, Michelle.
It looks fake. That doesn't even look real.
It's real.
That is absolutely incredible. All right, speaking of the sunshine outside, let's get to meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner. She's out on the weather patio with a look at our weekend forecast. There's a lot happening outside this weekend, Elizabeth.
You know, it kind of looked like y'all were out on the weather patio, too, with it right there behind you. But yes, we do have rain that is all to the west. You can see that rain from St. Louis to Memphis to Nashville. Well, all of that's going to come through here. And most of that will happen late this evening and overnight tonight. We have some light showers in the western part of North Carolina right now. You can see that starting to build a little bit around Greensboro High Point, just to the west, kind of up the I-77 corridor. No rain for us just yet, but once we get closer to lunchtime, we can see a few isolated showers start to develop. This is noon. We'll push it ahead and pause it there around 5 o'clock. I feel like that for the most part, the evening commute is going to be fairly dry, but there could be a few pop-up showers themselves. Kind of see that between 5 and 7. And then maybe a bigger line that comes through around, say, 10 or 11. That may last until around 1 or 2 in the morning. It may be that it's a little wet on Saturday morning. Notice that little shower that rolls through, but then after lunchtime, there's hardly anything else that pops up. That front comes through almost rain-free. So again, it looks like, kind of late evening into the wee hours of tomorrow morning, maybe the bulk of the rain that we end up seeing. It's beautiful in the gardens right now. We're looking at sunshine. It feels very comfortable, 67 degrees, but you'll definitely notice a bump up in the humidity. Yesterday, we had this gorgeous dry air mass, and it's just a little stickier today. Our temperatures right now are mostly in the mid to upper 60s, 66 in Holly Springs, 66 in Garner, 63 degrees in Chapel Hill. Around town, highs will be in the low 80s for this afternoon, similar to yesterday. Headed to Broogaloo this evening, just, kind of note, especially between maybe 7 and 8, we may start to see an isolated shower or thunderstorm, and that chance will go up as we get closer to midnight. Our muggy meter sitting at tolerable right now at 61, and it is likely to drop nicely on Sunday. Sunday, we're going to see a nice break, lots of sunshine, clear conditions conditions looking beautiful. Enjoy Sunday and Monday because the heat is back for Wednesday and Thursday.
91 and 90. I'm offended. Hey, here's a look at your NC Education lottery numbers.